All right, I'm just gonna go through the draft picks and the teams, basically the final teams. I'm not exactly aware of which players were drafted in which spots. I mean, I know the draft. I see the draft order, but I don't really know whether or not some of those spots moved around because of trades. So I'm just going to refer to it as where I see it on the spreadsheet. Mel started out first overall pick, picked Ralph Hannon, which is, I guess, is somewhat, you know, unusual kind of thing to pick. Usually you'll get your shortstop. Everybody was talking about either Jojo Saruya or Zach Ashkenazi. I think this is actually a great move because if you're not going to have a pick till the end of the first round, your top pitchers, your Ralph Hannons, your A.B. Saka, and obviously Maxi Deed are going to be gone by then. Your most important, if you're not going to get a top pitcher, you're really at a disadvantage. So your most important defensive player basically is your pitcher. He's going to be involved in every play on defense, and he affects that side of the ball more than any other player. And Ralph Hannon is a plus, where he also has a bat. He's the top 10, maybe even top 5. I don't know about top 5. He's definitely a top 10 hitter in the league. So 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 yeah, I actually like this move very much. And Melech was able to get Shimmy Cohen in the fifth round, which I think is an absolute steal. So he still got his center fielder. Jackie Cohen is playing shortstop, who's, you know, that's good. I mean, for a sixth rounder, it's a good pick. Now, if you wouldn't have drafted whatever, I think one other guy on the team is a little overrated, but it's fine. Overall, the lineup is not going to break any records. It's probably a below average lineup, but you get it's still solid. It's still good enough. You have Ralph Hannon as your pitcher. I think they can go far. I think they can do well in the playoffs. They're not my favorite team because, well, the projections actually don't love Archie so much, and that's because of his poor showing last year with Eye of the Tiger. But I think this year he'll be better. There was actually talk back when MSB season 2019 of comparing Archie to Jimmy. The thing with Archie is that he has this immense power that nobody in the league has. I don't think. If you've seen those videos of MSB where he was playing in Coyle Street and yeah. So there's no denying that. The question is whether or not that makes him an overall top hitter. I don't think. I think he's great. He's going to be great, and that you shouldn't worry about him. But overall, is he an elite hitter? I mean, is he number top 3 hitter in the league? Maybe not. So yeah, the projections actually have him as bad, which we can see it as we can change in our minds. We can change that a little bit. But that's why they don't give them such a great lineup. But yeah, could do better with the lineup. But overall, I think this is a solid team. Next is Stephen Gindy's team, which is a classic Stephen Gindy team. It has all guys from that he has Joe S. obviously, but he's played with Hank Dweck last year, 2 years ago. Nussi. Who else? Joey Levy, I think, was on his team last year. He just traded for him. All these guys are on his team. Overall, you have you have a relatively deep lineup between Steven, Joe S., Hank, Nussi. Those are four, solid, very good hitters. The thing that concerns me is Mark Cohen. His previous year in the league, which is 2018, he did not do well. I mean, maybe we can say that Sabon was a little tough on him and he didn't respond to that well. But he was picked in the last round of this draft, and we're gonna have to see how he responds. If he can pitch decent, this team could be a pretty decent team. I'm not sure exactly. If I love it, it's okay. But I think a lot of it hinges on Mark Cohen. Well, again, a lot of every team is going to hinge on the pitching because it's half the side of the game. Next is Joe Greenberg's team. So the lineup is solid. Like the offense, I don't think is going to be an issue. My issue is like this. Joe Greenberg picked Dan Braun as his pitcher. Now, Dan Braun dominated MSB in 2019. And we were actually unsure whether that would carry over to this league or not. So I looked into it, and he had two things going for him. One, he had a low walk rate, one of the lowest walk rates in the league, which is something that should, carry over. But number two, batters really hit like 270 against him, or something like that. It's very low. That is not something I think will carry over for a couple of reasons. One, this is an overall tougher league. And we saw with Jakub Surya last year, you're gonna give the ball to the hitters. Like Dan Braun did not strike anyone out. He basically let them hit, and they got themselves out. If you're gonna just give the ball to the hitters, they're gonna hit it. Two, gold ball makes it harder. And number three, this team's defense after Joe Greenberg and Zach Ashkenazi, who are top defenders, Mocas is a solid middle of the infield. There is really no more defense on that team. I mean, I'm not sure exactly about some of these guys, like Isaac Sasson, the rookie. He's fast. He might help, but other than that, I'm looking through the rest of the team, and there doesn't seem to be that guy. I think they're going to be giving up a lot of runs, and the lineup is not top one or two lineup necessarily. Part of it is that. Oh, I didn't see that. Yeah. Part of. I mean, Ike Mavara is he's good, but he's a first baseman, so there's only so much you can help at first base, unless they move him. I don't know. I'm saying in the field, obviously he can hit with the rest of them. So I think they're going to be giving up a lot of runs. And that might come back to bite them. Next team is Team Supreme, which is Sabon's team. Now, Sabon's team, the problem is with these projections, half the guys haven't been in the league. Doesn't know. I don't know. Projections don't know what to do with these guys. Even with that, you just have between Jojo Surya, Sabon, and Avi Dweck, those are three top 15 hitters in the league. You have Natan Safdie, who's a excellent hitter, excellent fielder. A.B. Saka is a top tier pitcher, and then whatever those other guys are going to give you that's obviously what what his season is going to hinge on, because I don't know. I'm involved in this league. I'm not involved outside of this league, so I don't know what Douglas Lopez and Ian Lerner are going to do for him. Maybe they're great. Maybe they're not. Who knows? We're going to have to find out. It seems to be a Sabon thing to pick these guys. Picked Mo Doak last year, and but he got Vic Baumel the year before, and it seems to be a Savon thing to do, and hopefully he can, put together a good showing with his team. The next team, I am not going to refer to the team name because that's not my thing. It's funny. I saw the lineup and I'm like, I actually like this team. So Eddie Harari was picked in the last round. I think that's the steal of the draft. Eddie Harari is, I think, an average to above average pitcher, and the fact that he was picked, the last round, I think that's, I think that's a crazy steal. And besides the fact that I have Michael Cohen, who insisted on pitching last year, but I'm assuming not going to be pitching this year, between himself, Jakub Surya, and Eddie Harari on the same team. Eddie Harari is not going to give you anything on offense, so I'm assuming the only reason to have him on the team is for him to pitch. But then the projections are giving me not good lineup at all. And I think there's a few reasons for that. Michael Cohen is not being projected to be well because last year he was not good. He wasn't just not Michael Cohen. He was not good last year. That was because he was pitching. He didn't, he missed a couple games. He had a baby, or whatever it was. So it really brought the projections down. Obviously, we think he's going to be much better. Also, Jakob Gutman. We know from MSB last year, Jakob Gutman is a great hitter, but the projections don't really see that because I haven't really done the conversion. I did it last year, the conversion from the other leagues to this one. I didn't do it this year, so it's just ignoring him for now. So that'll help. And then David Harari is is a solid, is a very good hitter. Ti is a veteran. Sammy Essis is between the two of them, I think they have a nice yin and yang leadership kind of thing. Vocal leadership and more, quiet. And I think even though the projections are telling me that are not giving it great numbers, I think this is the one place where I'm going to say that I'm going to have to use my own personal judgment and say this team is actually a lot better than the projections say. Next is Jimmy's team, Fauda. This team is going to hit a lot. Between Allie, now we saw signs of Allie breaking down last year. I'm going to assume that since Jimmy is, friends with Allie, he knows that he's actually good to go this year because he did pick him in the first round. Between Allie, Jimmy, and Hammer, and Sam Loudon, those are the guys that the projections are picking up, and the projections are not even picking up Yankee Itzkwitz, who I think maybe could even be considered a first rounder. I think he was picked in the right spot actually, but between all of those guys together, that team is going to hit a lot. Again, the issue now is Leo Casson, who did not have, the last time he pitched in the league, he did not have a good regular season. He had an amazing postseason, and he probably should have been the postseason MVP. But if Leo Casson could give you anything, like somewhere, average, close to average, this team could be the best team in the league because that lineup is really good. The defense is solid. Forgot to mention Bobby Safdie, I think also. Charles Saka is a great fielding third baseman. Who's their shortstop? Mo Haber's on this team. Yeah. Allie will play with shortstop probably, and then Yankee will play in the outfield. Yankee, Bobby, and Sam Loudon, and Allie will be the shortstop. That's a very great fielding team, great hitting team. It has to rely on Leo to be close to what he was in the playoffs, if he's anything close to what he was in the playoffs 2 years ago, this team will be the best team in the league. The last team is Maxi Deed's team. Now, Maxi Deed's team has an advantage over all other teams in the fact that they have Maxi Deed. Maxi Deed, I've been saying this for 2 years now, is the best pitcher in the league. I don't think that's controversial. My thing is that in 2 leagues, in 4 seasons between those 2 leagues, or something like that, the last 4 times he's played between MNS and YMSL, Maxi Deed has not given up more walks than he struck out at all. And in these leagues where your best guys are gonna walk more guys than they strike out, he has not done that. He has great strikeout numbers, and besides for that, he doesn't walk anyone. That is huge. He added his extra pitch last year. I don't know if that made him pitch better because he was really good the year before anyway. That is an automatic upgrade advantage that they have. However, the lineup behind John, you really don't have a real, Butchie Cohen, who the projections don't like anymore this year, but because last year he wasn't as good as he was years past before that. But they have Nathan Kushner, who won the batting title last year, and I wouldn't normally be talking about batting titles because batting average is not a stat that we should really be talking about. But in this league where power is not as important because power comes in abundance and it's important to be on base for someone to knock you in, batting average actually correlates very strongly with overall doing well, helping your team. So yeah, Nathan Kushner, actually, the projections love him a little bit too much. But other than that, it's a little bit similar to last year's team. Teddy Braha, whatever. Excellent fielder. Not going to help you with the bat. I think this is going to be probably the best defensive team. They're going to give up the least amount of runs because Maxi Deed, and also the defense is, solid, but they are not going to hit as much as some of those other teams. So, there's no team that sticks out like a sore thumb. This team's going to be the worst team, and there's not a real team that sticks out. This team's going to be the best team. If I had to pick one team to be the best team, maybe I'd say Jimmy's team. And if I had one team to be the worst team, I know he's not going to be happy about this, but I think Joe Greenberg, maybe he thinks I know he thinks he's going to carry the team by himself, which I'd love to see happen. That would be amazing. But the projections don't love Zach. They don't think he's an elite hit. Actually, that's not true. That's not true. I think he's a borderline elite hitter, which is more than enough when you play shortstop at the level that he does. I thought that, no. The projections like Zach. They love Joe. And, Eichenbauer, excellent. Mocas, excellent. Bernie Pindeck, solid hitter. The lineup should not be a problem. The lineup is really good. I'm just a little bit concerned between Dan Braun's tendencies, the way he pitched. Maybe he's going to change it up. Maybe he knew. I don't know. Maybe he knew that last year he had. In MSB he had. He was playing with the mush ball, and he had Stephen Gindy behind him, and the rest of that team had a great defense, and he can rely on them. And now he's going to be a little bit more aggressive. I don't know, but I think that team will be a little bit difficult on the defensive side. Even though up the middle they're beyond, they're really beyond solid between Zach and Joe. The rest of the situation there might be a little bit tricky, so that might cost them. All right. I hope you don't, hate me for this. And yeah, see you on the field. I won't be on the field.